And welcome back to News Center. Thank you very much for staying with us. We're looking at a number of top stories. One is on the political front, but of course on the other end, we're also looking at the lecturers' strike, and we'll be getting to back to that in a few minutes. All right, so of course, going back to our top story this morning, the Orange Democratic Movement's National Executive Council retreats to Naivasha for 2 days to discuss various issues affecting the party. The retreat coming in the wake of remarks by a section of ODM leaders that Raila Odinga will be on the ballot come 2022. The ODM leader has, however, downplayed this remark, saying he is not interested in 2022 succession politics and that his focus now is to ensure the country is united through the Building Bridges initiative. On News Center this morning, we have been taking a look at the intrigues at the Orange Party and how the party hopes to revamp itself. All right, so thank you very much for the comments that we're getting on our Twitter poll. Remember that we're asking you this morning if you support the calls or the proposals to have Raila Odinga come on the ballot come 2022. It's a very big conversation I'm seeing taking shape online. Let me know and hear what your thoughts are about this one. KTN News Center is the hashtag, or tweet me at Betty M. Kialo. All right, so aside from matters politics, the Ministry of Education and striking lecturers officials are set to meet today and discuss the government counter-offer that will either see lecturers escalate the strike in 10 days. We now want to bring in Dr. Charles Muhaya, who is the Secretary General in KUSU. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this morning. So let's talk about this meeting that is supposed to be today between officials and the government. Any hope that indeed there's going to be something solid from this particular meeting?
Yeah, thank you, Chalo. We are hopeful that there will be something. As you know, the government set out an interministerial committee to look into the issues and the demands that we put on the table. And one of the TORs was to come up with a counter offer. And therefore, the fact that we have been called for a meeting this morning, we are very hopeful that maybe that interministerial committee has now developed a counter offer. We do expect that if indeed it is, then it will be a welcome move for us to try and see how we can be able to bring down particular high temperatures that have been rocking our universities for the last 2.5 months or so.
Right. Let me ask you about the demands. Even as you know, you wait to hear what the government has to offer. What are some of the demands that must be met?
One of the demands that must be met is, of course, that we in the universities, we are demanding for a commensurate, credible counter-offer to our proposals that we gave the government last year. That's one. And number two, we are also saying that we do not want to continue engaging with the same colleagues whom we have been negotiating with for over the years, because this has been part of the problem, that we end up negotiating with ourselves. We want to negotiate with people who are non-partisan, people who are impartial, people who have authority and mandate in what they are talking about, as opposed to the colleagues whom we have always sat down with and ended up prolonging the negotiations in the pretext of seeking authority or consulting higher officers. We want to see the Ministry of Education on that team. We would like to see the National Treasury represented. We would like to see perhaps the Office of the Attorney General and other key government agencies that can actually commit the government and not the DVCs whom we have been meeting. DVCs are our colleagues in the past place. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that 10-day countdown. So what happens if indeed today, we don't have fruitful talks between the government and yourselves?
Well, Chalo, you will expect that as unions, we may end up heightening this particular strike. We know that our members have been thoroughly intimidated by rogue vice-chancellors who, in one hand, they would like money brought to the universities, but on the other hand, they are pretending as if they are against the strike. And therefore, if this particular round of talks does not yield into something fruitful, I am seeing a situation where even those who have been intimidated to get back to work, will actually get out and continue the strike. Yes.
All right. So in case that this, if indeed there's no, we don't have any great results by the end of day today,
Yes.
Are you saying that you'll stay put with the strike?
Chances are that, very, very high chances are that we'll stay put. And as soon as we do that, we'll be welcoming any person who has the goodwill to try and intervene and intercede on behalf of these workers. We will be welcoming them as much as we will be staying put.
All right. Finally, do you feel that there has been serious commitment, even as you await to meet the government officials today? Do you feel that there has been previously serious commitment from the government, indeed, to end the strike? Because it has been ongoing for such a long time. We're talking about almost over 2 months, and students have been out of school, universities have been closed down. What is your take about just the way the government has handled this whole situation since the start of it?
Betty, I will tell you, there hasn't been any seriousness from the side of the government. Because if they have been serious, then they would not have allowed these students to stay out of class for such a long time after they and their parents have already paid fees. Number two, we feel that there has been no much commitment because, look, when the government comes in to try and resolve the matter, it decides, first of all, to set up an interministerial committee. It gives the interministerial committee so many terms of reference, and only one of that particular terms of reference is what touches on the current crisis. It would have been better if the government was really serious to prioritize the issue of the ongoing strike and give it an upstart attention. We feel that the government has performed poorly on this particular front. They have been lackluster, they have been lackadaisical in their performance. They have actually played a laid-back approach on this particular issue. Yes.
All right. Dr. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Of course, we will be keeping an eye on the developments with the talks that are supposed to take place today between the officials and of course, the government, the ministry officials, of course, all that to do with the lecturer strike. We have been speaking to Dr. Charles Mukwaya, who is the Secretary General of the Kenya University Staff Union. All right, so moving forward and back to our top story, the Orange Democratic Movement's National Executive Council is this week set to hold a 2-day retreat. The meeting in Naivasha will explore how to actualize President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga's Building Bridges initiative. ODM Secretary General Edwin Funa says the retreat will also focus on how to revamp the party. Rita Nina has the details of this.
The March 9th Harambee House handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and NASA leader Raila Odinga has no doubt redefined opposition politics in the country after the two leaders buried the hatchet, agreeing to work together to forge the country's unity. In just 2 days, shy of the 2-month anniversary of that famous handshake, Raila Odinga's ODM party will be meeting for the first time since the newfound unity, which will form part of the agenda during the retreat in Naivasha.
Kuwahamasisha ili sisi kama chama tuongee na sauti moja. Kwanza tuelewe vema kabisa hii initiative inamaanisha nini, kwa sababu tumeona watu wengi wanasema vitu ambavyo labda hawavielewi. Wanaingiza mambo ambayo hayako katika ule mkataba.
A 14-member team to work on the implementation of the Harambee House deal was named last week. In the Naivasha retreat, we'll explore how the party will make the Building Bridges initiative a success story.
Kwa sababu tunajua iwapo hii initiative haitafaulu, ni chama cha ODM kitachekwa. Utaona wengine wakijitenga kwa sababu wengi wao wanataka kujihusisha na nyinyi wakati mambo yanaelekea vizuri. Lakini wakati wa mambo magumu kama ile ya uapisho tarehe 30, utaona wanajitenga. Kwa hivyo ni jukumu letu sisi kama viongozi wa ODM kuhakikisha kwamba hii Building Bridges initiative inafaulu.
Following the January 30th swearing in of Raila Odinga as the people's president, the Harambee House deal may have worsened the already estranged relations between Raila and the other NASA principals Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula. And ODM, a NASA affiliate party, is now turning their attention on revamping itself.
Especially in filling positions that have fallen vacant because of defections, because of death or desertion, so that we have a strong party from the grassroots all the way to the national level.
ODM leader Raila Odinga has proposed amendments to the constitution to form a 3-tier government, and that too may not escape discussion during the retreat. The ODM revamp project will see the party hold rallies in all the 47 counties in the country. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
All right, thanks, Rita, for that. All right, so we want to get into our discussion right now. And like I promised earlier, joining me in studio right now is Ugunja Member of Parliament, Opio Wandai. He's also the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. It's great to see you, sir.
Yeah, it's nice seeing you, Betty.
Let's start with the question, about this revamp that we're expecting. Before we're going to get to the matters 2022 elections, what are we expecting from this retreat?
Well, you see, what is happening is that ODM, and true to its character, is basically carrying out in-house activities, basically putting its house in order.
Right.
Yeah, and as you know, Betty, political parties are like living creatures. They must periodically re-energize. They must periodically recreate. Yeah. In order to serve its membership effectively. And ODM, being the leading political party, not only in Kenya, but in the region, has always been the forefront in terms of ensuring that its organs are active. And therefore, what is happening tomorrow in Naivasha, indeed, it's only one-day event.
Okay.
It's not a two-day retreat as the media is reporting. What is going to happen in Naivasha tomorrow is that the party's National Executive Committee is going to hold a retreat to appraise itself with the developments in the country. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, talking about that revamp, because Sifuna there mentioned a revamp, and of course there has been questions about, the future of NASA. Is this a way of ODM to start, sort of like coming out from that coalition?
Betty, we have always said, and I dare repeat here, that coalitions are matters to do with elections. There are matters we deal with at the election time. But in between elections, political parties must reorganize themselves and must handle their own internal affairs. And therefore, ODM is going about its business as an independent party for now. When the time of elections come, coalitions will be made.
All right.
Either before or after the elections. Yeah.
So what does that point to? Are we looking at conversations, that being part of the conversation and discussion during this retreat, whether or not to exit from NASA?
No, that is certainly not on the table. Yeah. Exiting or not exiting NASA is neither here nor there, as you know, Betty. Yeah. ODM is a senior partner in NASA. And it does not have to go for a retreat to decide what to do with NASA. NASA exists because ODM is there.
But there are four parties there.
Yes, ODM alongside other parties. But I have said, and I don't want to dwell on the matter of NASA. Yeah, I've said NASA remains a coalition to which we belong as a party. And we would really want it to remain strong as a coalition. But then circumstances do change every single day in politics. And therefore, for us as a party, our strategic interest is not to dwell so much on the issues of coalition as we speak.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So one of the pointers is that this retreat is also supposed to see how this building bridges initiatives, will be actualized and implemented. Why is ODM taking it upon itself, really, without the other parties? Is it an ODM, decision to do so?
The fact of the matter is that the Building Bridges initiative is a monumental initiative that has shaken the core of politics in this country in a fundamental way. And you must also realize that that initiative was conceived by two of our leaders. That is President Uhuru Kenyatta and our own leader, His Excellency Raila Odinga. You must also realize that Raila Odinga is the leader of ODM, first and foremost, before he's the leader of NASA. And therefore, as a party, we in ODM take the matter of the building the bridges very, very seriously. Yes, because our party leader has already stuck out his neck. It's a matter that we must ensure that it succeeds in the fullness of time.
Right.
Yes. So as a party, we embrace it fully, and we want to do all it takes to ensure that it succeeds. But not just succeeding, it succeeds for the benefit of all Kenyans. Yes.
All right. So are there any strategies that, ODM will be, or what exactly will it be doing to implement, this initiative, to help implement the initiative?
Now, that would be jumping the gun. As you know, Betty, the Building the Bridges initiative is at its formative stages. You've just seen the unveiling of the 14-member advisory committee the other day. That committee, to my knowledge, has not even met.
Right.
Yeah, so let's give them time to draw a program of their own, and let's look at the recommendations they'll be coming up with for us as a party to say what we need to do to have them implemented.
All right.
For now, I understand the anxiety. I understand the apprehension that is all over the country. Yeah, but let's give that initiative time.
All right.
Yeah.
Talking about that, that 14-member team, there have been questions, whether, this team, could have had more people who were involved, including, the youth and other groups. What is your take on this? I know Raila Odinga is your party leader, and maybe you will be, of course, you'll not depart from, this particular team. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that anybody else should have been?
Firstly, Betty, I'm a very independent-minded person. Yes, I speak my mind quite often.
Right.
Yeah, so the fact of the matter is that if you start talking of representing constituencies, the old, the youth, the disabled, the so-called, so on and so forth, then you'll never have a committee in the first place, because there's no limit to which you will go. Okay? So that committee was not a committee to bring on board representatives of interest groups. No.
Right. But
it was a committee to bring on board people with certain experience, people with certain abilities to be able to push forward the agenda of national unity and reconciliation.
Right.
So if they happen to be youth, that's fine. If they happen to be the old, so be it. Yeah.
Right, but there are arguments that the youth represent the bigger population of the country, and we're not seeing any person. I mean, there are young, brilliant minds out there who would have been, of course, very instrumental in this particular, committee.
This initiative is not a closed affair. Despite the fact that we have an advisory team of eminent Kenyans, both men and women, the door is not closed. These other cadres, the youth and the what have you, still have a room to support that structure. Yes, and it has been made very clear to us by our party leader that that is how things are going to work. That advisory team is going to be supported by the technical staff. And this is where the youth will play a key role, if you ask me. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We want to get into another discussion, and allow me to highlight something over here. And Opposition Chief Raila Odinga now says he is disinterested in 22 politics, and that he will communicate directly to the nation when and if he changes that position. But the question is just what is Raila's game plan in the aftermath of his cooperation deal with President Uhuru Kenyatta? Now, political affairs reporter Murimi Mwangi interrogates on this week's edition of House of Cards. Take a look.
Since his flopped shot at State House in the 2017 polls, which had been dubbed as his last bullet, opposition chief Raila Odinga's detractors and critics alike, but have as well warmed up to his retirement. But a month and 27 days since his surprise ceasefire handshake with his top competitor and arch-political rival President Uhuru Kenyatta, the man acclaimed as the enigma of Kenyan politics has yet again been thrust to the middle of 2022 politics.
But we are aware of the history of Raila Odinga, that he would want to undermine the presidency or any ambition of His Excellency the Deputy President William Ruto.
We are not responsible for the political implications of this deal. We are only responsible towards articulation and resolution of the issues.
But just what is Odinga's political game plan? Well, on Sunday, Odinga, through his spokesman Dennis Onyango, said he was disinterested in 2022 politics, but added that if and when he wants to communicate something to the contrary, will do so personally and on a national forum. This even as Odinga's ODM party's top organ, the National Executive Committee, proceeds to Naivasha on a 2-day retreat in a series of meetings which insiders say will review the party's political game plan heading to the 2022 polls. Part of the likely scenario being fronting Odinga yet again for the top seat.
Issues resolved.
And despite Odinga's detachment to 2022 politics, his strategists are openly keen on harvesting political capital from the newfound Odinga-Kenyatta unity, which has in recent days rattled Kenyatta's deputy William Ruto's 2022 presidential bid.
I think it's a political move, and it must end somewhere. I think sooner than we think, there will be some kind of power sharing. But the ultimate will be in 2022 or whenever there will be some major change to the constitution.
Our ultimate aim is always to extend the frontiers of our sphere of influence. And if a chance presents itself for us to extend and open up further frontiers and gain further territory, we are always more than ready to seize such a moment.
We have told William Ruto that if Raila comes, don't close your eyes when they are praying. We have even instructed the old men and the religious leaders will get holy water from River Jordan, so that in case Raila Odinga comes within the earshot or within the prisons where Deputy President is, within the office, will come and sprinkle holy water to protect him from the history of destruction of parties.
But widely viewed as a likely launchpad to Odinga's 2022 realignment is the ongoing debate on a likely amendment of the 2010 Constitution. One likely to thrust Odinga as the top protagonist in a subsequent referendum. President Kenyatta avoided the subject during his recent State of the Nation address, but insiders say likely amendment to the Constitution is part of his March 9th deal with Odinga, with key Odinga allies rooting for an amendment to revert to the Bomas draft parliamentary system of government, with a Prime Minister and 2 deputies, a structure which would radically alter the 2022 political matrix, with Odinga either as a key protagonist or as a kingmaker to the winning coalition.
I think Raila is a member of the executive without portfolio. Because clearly there are pegs that have come with it, and which is quite unfortunate, because that's not the kind of administration we will expect to have. He's not supposed to be given more like executive authorities.
He can support anything positive that the government is doing, but he will stand on the other side if the government is doing something wrong, because the role of opposition is to put the government on its toes to make sure that we correct where they are going wrong.
A 16-member team headed by Ambassador Martin Kimani and lawyer Paul Mwangi, jointly picked by Kenyatta and Odinga to advance their initiative beyond the handshake, is due to hold its first meeting this week, even as the 2022 political trumpets intensify. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
All right, so that is House of Cards by Murimi Mwangi, and we'll be getting to that discussion with Opio and I shortly, but let me just sample your views. Remember that on Twitter, we're asking you if you support the proposal to have Raila Odinga as a candidate come the ballot 2022. We're asking you that. Very many tweets coming through, I have to say, quite a number of them. Let me sample 1 or 2 tweets before we take a break. Michael Omondi, you say, even if Raila is the last man standing, I strongly disagree. Let Kenyans have a change. David Ochola, you say, yes, I support Raila Odinga. He is qualified like any Kenyan as long as he meets the threshold. All right, thank you for your comment. Learning Council, it's Kimani. You say Raila Odinga is a Kenyan with the right to contest for the presidency if he so wishes. I don't get why you need to ask if we support the proposal, for it is immaterial in the end. It's his call to actually make. James N., you say yes, 100%. We need somebody to defeat. CPA Anthony Tabani, you say it's his democratic right But let him know that we cannot afford a bloated executive. Inclusivity is not creating positions for politicians at the top. All right, Otiso Paul, you say, I do suggest that he retires or else he be posted somewhere as an ambassador. He's an African icon of democracy, so he can be a peace ambassador across the world. All right, thank you for your comments. Too many of them. Keep them coming. I'll continue to sample them as we continue with the show. Of course, we'll take a short commercial break. We're coming back. Don't go away.